Okay, so you're interested in Real Broker's revenue share program. In this video, I'm gonna break down the entire thing with the basics all the way to the advanced, the nitty gritty. This is really like the full guide to Real Broker's revenue share program. So let's get into it. Okay, so what is revenue share exactly? Revenue share is basically a company's way of incentivizing its agents to help grow the company. So Real Broker could say, hey, we get 15% of every commission for pre-capping agents, and we're going to spend that 15% on marketing and recruiting and to get other agents in and make them aware of what we've got going on. But instead they say, okay, well, we earn 15% of commissions from pre-capping agents, so we're going to take that 15% and we're going to allocate it and incentivize agents to help grow the company. And so we're going to give agents a percentage of that 15% for if you bring in an agent to the company. So let's say if I bring in an agent to the company, then I get to earn a percentage of their commissions, but Real's percentage of their commissions for the duration they're in the company. And better yet, if that agent brings an agent into the company, I get another percentage of that agent's earnings. And if that agent brings somebody in, I get a percentage of that successive agent. So all the way for 5 generations into the company. So it's amazing the potential, the earning potential. I have friends in the company, I myself, you can earn tens of thousands of dollars of revenue every month just by bringing people into the company. It's a huge incentive to help grow the company. Where else do you get rewarded for helping to grow the company? There's nothing else like it, to be totally honest. Okay, so let's talk about how this 5-tier system works in the revenue share program. So the 5 tiers is basically the 5 different generations of agents that you bring into your network, that you sponsor into the company. So the first tier is all the agents that you directly sponsor into the company. The second tier is agents that those agents bring into the company. The third tier is agents that those agents bring into the company. And the fourth tier and fifth tier, so on and so forth. It's basically 5 generations. So again, that first tier is agents you directly bring in all the way down to 5 generations. Now, the percentages, you basically earn a percentage of their earnings, their commissions, pre-cap, for the 5 generations. And the percentages go as follows. For the first tier agents, the agents that you directly bring in, you earn 5% of their earnings. For the second tier, you earn 4% of their earnings. Third tier, you earn 3%. Fourth tier, you earn 2%. And the fifth tier, you earn 1%. Okay, so what do these percentages mean exactly? Let's look at an example transaction. Let's say an agent that you bring in earns a $10,000 commission. So out of that $10,000 commission, there's an 85-15% split. 85% goes to that agent, let's call them Sally. Sally gets $8,500 of that commission. And then 15% goes to Real Broker. And in that 15% commission, that's $1,500 to Real Broker. So you, as their sponsoring agent, get 5% of that 15%, or really you get a third of that 15%. So you get 5 out of the 15% of that commission. 5% on that commission, that's $500. You earn that $500. Real out of that, so you earn $500 out of Real's $1,500 commission. Real then earns the remaining 10%, so they earn the $1,000. And that's how the simplicity, the simple breakdown of that transaction goes. Now let's say Sally brings another agent in, so that would be an agent on your tier 2. So then that agent earns a $10,000 commission. Instead of you earning 5% on that commission, you actually earn 4%. Let's call him Brian. Brian earns the $10,000. He gets his $8,500. Real gets a 15% stake of that, $1,500. They allocate it 4% to you and 5% to Sally. So out of Real's 15%, they're giving 5% away to Sally and they're giving 4% away to you because Brian is on your tier 2 and Brian is on Sally's tier 1. Does that make sense? So you would get 4% of $10,000, you'd earn $400 all the way down. So effectively Real could give away 5% and a 4% and a 3% and 2% and 1%. And if you add that all up, it actually adds up to an entire 15%. If you as an agent have 5 people that have brought you into the company, so basically a full 5-tier network that have brought you in, Real is on the hook to pay out that entire 15% of their earnings. Now, one, this is incredibly generous. And two, it's really important to understand and ask the question like, well, if the company I'm working for is giving away like basically 100% of their revenue, because this is the way they earn revenue, aren't we in danger of them going bankrupt? Like, isn't this a bad thing? And obviously with these revenue share programs, you never know, if there's been 5 generations of people that have brought you into the company, or if somebody's left, or if all of those percentages are accounted for. But if say they are, Real has an incredible mechanism in place to say that at any given time, if they're spending what's required for their spending of that revenue share program, they will only ever allocate 60% of their total revenue to revenue share. So basically what that means is it's a mechanism to keep them from going bankrupt, so that they know that they have the operating budget they need. And the way that they do that is they basically say, okay, if we hit that threshold where we're supposed to spend more than 60% of our gross revenue on revenue share, then we're just going to reduce everybody's revenue share payments proportionately. So it's a really good fail-safe. Obviously, it's frustrating if you're supposed to earn, say, $10,000 a month and you only earn $8,000 because it got reduced. But it's far better to be a little frustrated, earn a little bit less, and be working for an actually good company, a solvent company, than to be working for a bankrupt company and get 0%, $0 of a bankrupt company's revenue share program. Okay, so I hope that you can understand the 5 tiers and Real's basically mechanism to make sure that they can pay that out. So let's talk a little bit about pre-cap, cap, all that. So basically, if you as an agent, you cap at $12,000, that means that after you pay Real $12,000 out of your commissions on that 85-15% split. So every commission you pay Real 15% split until you've paid them a total of $12,000, and then you hit your cap and you don't pay them anymore aside from a couple of transactional fees. So it's a really great system. It's a low cap. It allows you to keep a ton of your money. And so basically all the revenue share program comes out of those pre-cap earnings because Real is not earning any more revenue after the cap. So let's talk about that. So basically, if you bring an agent in, the most you're ever going to earn from that agent is $4,000 per year, which is obviously a great amount of money. It doesn't take that many agents to earn a really sizable income per year. So that you earn $4,000 per year from that agent. And the way that you get there is that you're earning 5% of Real's 15% cap, or commission. So that basically means you're earning a third of what Real's cap is. So or a third of what Real's commission is up to that $12,000 cap. And so a third of those earnings until you hit that cap is $4,000 out of the $12,000 cap. So then if you're earning 4% on an agent's, so you brought Sally in, she's your tier 1, you earn 5% of the commission, or 5% of Real's take, 5 out of 15% of Real's take. And then Sally brings Brian in, so Brian's on your tier 2, and so you earn 4% of Real's 15%. So that basically means that until Brian caps, you're going to earn 4% of every one of his transactions. So that means that you can earn up to $3,200 per year because you're earning basically the 4% out of Real's 15% up to that $12,000 cap. So then tier 3, because you're earning 3%, you can earn up to $2,400 per agent. Tier 4, you can earn up to $1,600 per agent. Tier 5, you can earn up to $800 per agent because you're earning 1% of that. So I hope that makes sense. If not, rewind it or even reach out to me and I can explain it some more. Don't hesitate to reach out, schedule a call. I'm happy to explain all of this because really there's a lot of minutia to this, but it's really important to understand because if you're thinking about joining the company, you want to really understand how this company works, how it operates. And I mean, the revenue share program has the potential for life-changing money for you and future generations. We'll talk about that in a second, that you can pass it down, but it's really a big deal. So, okay, I hope you get that. And now let's move on to the next section. Okay, so we got a little bit more to cover in the tiered sections, and that's unlocking each tier. So again, tier 1, all the agents you bring directly in. And when you show up to Real, tier 1 is automatically unlocked. You automatically get the earnings from tier 1. So when we say locked or unlocked tiers, it basically means, do I get the earnings from that tier? And the way it works is that in order to unlock the earnings from tier 2, which in our example was Brian, so Sally's tier 1, Brian's tier 2. So in order to earn the earnings from Brian's commissions, he's on our tier 2, we have to unlock tier 2. Now to unlock tier 2, basically we have to refer more people into our tier 1. All of the tiers are unlocked, get unlocked when we sponsor enough agents into our tier 1. So basically it works like this. Tier 1 automatically unlocked when you show up on day 1. So you bring an agent in, you bring any agents directly into the company, you're always going to earn a percentage of their commissions. Now to get to unlock tier 2, 3, 4, and 5, you need to bring more agents in. So to unlock tier 2, you need to bring in 5 agents. And then to unlock tier 3, you need to bring in 15 agents. To unlock tier 4, you need to bring in 20 agents. And to unlock tier 5, you have to bring in 25 agents. Now, these are all agents that you have to bring into your tier 1. So agents you have to sponsor directly. So when Sally brings Brian in, that doesn't count towards your tier 1. Only Sally is on your tier 1. So you have to bring, again, tier 2, you got to have 5 agents in your tier 1. You have to have 5 Sallys. Tier 3, you got to have 15 Sallys. Tier 4, you got to have 20 Sallys. Tier 5, you got to have 25 Sallys. You need a lot of Sallys. So I hope that makes sense. So anyways, that's how you unlock all the tiers. So you could bring Sally in, and she could bring her whole network. She could bring 100 people in. And so you're like, wow, I'm going to earn a ton, but you're not going to earn anything from that until you bring in 4 other Sallys, till you have 5 Sallys in your tier 1. Hope that makes sense. It's a really important thing to understand and be aware of. One more note of how you qualify, how you earn in the revenue share program. In order to qualify yourself to earn money from the revenue share program, you could have brought in 5 Sallys, 10 Brians, so on and so forth. You need to be a producing agent yourself. So you can't just be a recruiter. You have to actively be a producing agent with Real. And what does it mean to be a producing agent? It means that you have generated at least $450 in commission for Real every 6 months. So if we do the math on that, that means that you basically have to generate $3,000 in a commission. That would be the 100% of commission. You get 85% of that. Real gets 15% of that commission. So 15% of 3,000 is $450. So that means you basically have to earn $3,000 commission every 6 months to qualify as a producing agent. Now, the other thing that's really important to be aware of is, in order for to unlock the tiers, so you need 5 Sallys to unlock tier 2. All 5 of those Sallys also need to be producing agents. So if you bring in a Sally who actually isn't generating $3,000 in commission or $450 worth of commission to Real every 6 months, they don't count in towards unlocking future tiers. You still earn a commission from whatever earnings they produce, but they don't count towards unlocking the tiers. Okay, so we covered kind of the most complicated stuff about the tiered system. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love talking about this. Love helping people understand it. One more note on the payouts. Basically, there's a $175 annual fee for participating in the revenue share program. It's kind of like an administrative fee. It comes out of your first checks. You don't see it. You don't have to pay a check to anybody. It just comes out of your earnings. And then on any payment you earn, 1.2% goes to a processing fee. So that's basically Real's way of handling the infrastructure of distributing the payments for the revenue share program. Okay, so we've talked about the benefits. I mean, this can be absolute life-changing money. We know that. We know it's really cool to be part of a great company. Tell your friends, bring your friends to work with you and get rewarded for it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But it's really important that we talk about some of the potential risks of having a revenue share program in a company. And they're not small. They can actually really destroy the fabric of the culture. They are significant risks. So let's talk about them. Risk number one, you can create a company of just recruiters. Because you can earn so much money by bringing other people into the company, it makes a really attractive place for people to come in and just be recruiters. Now, with that, it becomes a bummer because basically you want a culture of producers. You want a culture of agents. You don't want basically what would feel like kind of a hollow, soulless company of a bunch of people just growing the company that aren't actually doing any real estate. So it's like you lose that soul. The main issue with that is, well, one, if you have a bunch of recruiters, it's just not a good thing. And there's been other companies in the past that have done this and they've gotten a bad reputation. And it's just not a good vibe. Real has done two very important things to mitigate this. One we've already talked about is that you have to be a producing agent. And that is amazing. You have to earn your $450 for Real every 6 months, or else you don't qualify as a producing agent. You don't get to earn any of the money from your revenue share. Now, granted, your whole revenue share network is still there. So if you have a bad 6 months and you don't earn any commission, that network doesn't go anywhere. But in order to unlock the earnings, you have to earn that $450 to Real every 6 months, or that $3,000 commission. So you have to be a producing agent. That's very important. Real, their whole culture is around, we want high quality producing agents. And then, we want to create an incentive to grow the company, but most importantly, we want to be a foundation, the company of high quality producing agents. And I think that's beautiful. Number two, they have a very strict no recruiting policy. So this is, again, you don't want to attract recruiters. So I'm sure at some point you've gotten a call from somebody saying, hey, I want you to join this company, and they're like really intense. Maybe you don't even know them. That's not cool with Real. And there's a whole list of actions that you cannot do to recruit other people. The whole ethos of how to bring other agents to the company is to attract them. It's all about basically creating this incredible company that we're part of, and by doing so, we attract other agents in instead of going out, cold calling, spamming, just being obnoxious. So we don't want that. Real is adamant about that, and they've actually kicked people out of the company for doing that. So it's like with any culture, with any garden, you gotta weed out the bad actors. Okay, so those are the two main means that Real has used to basically ensure that it's not a recruiter-heavy company. Now let's talk about risk number two with having a revenue share program in your company. And that's creating a bunch of silos. That's basically creating a bunch of small competitive organizations within an organization. So let's look at an example for a second. Let's say that you want to bring other people into the company. And so in order to do that, you know that others are trying to do that as well. So you're trying to differentiate yourself a little bit in terms of the incentive that other agents have to join under you. So you're thinking, well, I'll create a mastermind call for them. I'll give them, access to free tools that I pay for. I'll give them an online course that I've made so that they have an incentive to join with me instead of joining with Charlie over there, right? But then the trouble with that, there's two main troubles with that. One, we don't want anybody in the company, in Real, competing with one another to bring others. We want it to truly be this collaboration of like, hey, we're all here for one another. We want to, if you've had a conversation with somebody, put them down as your sponsor. It's not a big deal. And let's just be genuine and authentic about it. Let's not create some crazy culture of competition, because what you can do with that is basically you create this culture of competition, and it even can get to the point of people disparaging their colleagues, saying, don't join with them. He's no good. You want to join with me, I'm better. And it's really unfortunate. And then you get these silos where it's like, oh, hey, are you part of this tribe within this company, or are you part of this tribe within that same company? And then you have all these different factions, and it's really, really, really unhealthy. So that's like probably one of the biggest risks of having a revenue share program. So Real has mitigated this risk in a really, really cool way. They've done it in a couple different ways. One, which is the most important, is they have said you are not allowed to offer any incentive to join under you. You're not allowed to offer courses. You're not allowed to offer free tools. You're not allowed to offer private masterminds. There is none of that. And the culture of Real has thrived from it because it feels very collaborative. You can talk to anybody. They won't say, well, who's in your network? Who brought you in? Okay, now I'll talk to you. There's none of that. You don't have to worry. Once you're on board, you're in the full team, and they're, again, adamant about not allowing any incentives to join under you, and that's very important. Two, and which is equally, possibly more important, they have created a co-sponsorship program that has revolutionized the industry. Currently, nobody else is doing it, but I'm sure somebody will because it's a game changer. So what is co-sponsorship? So instead of having one agent bring you in as their sponsor, you can opt to have a second agent bring you in as their sponsor. This is incredible. So by virtue of just having one agent, you kind of create these physical silos anyways, because it's just like a direct lineage. But if you have two people bringing you in, and two people brought those people in, two people brought those people in, you get much more of a mesh of like the family tree, so to speak, within Real. It's much more of a network than it is this like incestuous family tree. So it's very important. And there's the incentive, a lot of times somebody's trying to bring, you're trying to join the company and you're talking to a couple different people to get a sense of it. And when it comes time to join, you're like, who do I put down as my sponsor? So now with this, you get the chance to put down two people on as your sponsor if you so wish. And that's really nice, because it can alleviate the burden of like, oh, I didn't want to choose between Charlie and Sally. Now I can choose both of them. Of course, obviously you might talk to 7 people, so you still have to choose, 1 or 2 out of that 7, but it's a huge upgrade. So this co-sponsorship route is really a huge defense against creating silos. Risk number 3, and we've already talked about it, but let's talk about it again. The company can go bankrupt by giving away too much in revenue share. As we talked about, Real gives up to 15% of their entire 15% of revenue away in revenue share, but they have it mitigated by saying we're only going to pay up to 60% of our gross revenue, and we're going to throttle everybody's earnings based on that. So again, you're covered there, but it's important to be aware and acknowledge that risk. Okay, so there's a couple other nuances in this program that are really important to be aware of. So with revenue share, we're talking about money that can set you up for a long time to come. And a long time to come probably means after you're done producing, although the classic saying is, a real estate agent never retires. With that said, there is a retirement program built into Real's revenue share program. And basically that means that to qualify for this, you have to work a minimum of 3 years, and to get the full amount of earnings, you have to work 5 years as a producing agent. So a couple details within that. Once you hit 3 years as 3 consecutive years as a producing agent, you qualify for 60% of your revenue share earnings for the rest of your life, whether you're producing or not. Once you hit 4 years, you qualify for 80%. And once you hit 5 years, you qualify for that full 100%. Now, granted, just to clarify, after 3 years, you're still earning 100% of your earnings from the revenue share program as a producing agent. It's just if you stop becoming a producing agent. So like you retire, you stop, making commissions, you stop creating that $450 worth of commission to Real every 6 months. Then after that 3 months, you can retire, and that you'll earn that 60% of your revenue share earnings. So the key is basically do 5 consecutive years with Real as a producing agent. It's very important that you maintain that producing agent status for that 5 consecutive years, and then you're good. And again, that producing agent status is $450 of commission to Real every 6 months. So if you miss a 6-month period, your timer resets. And so that's very important that you hit that the whole time if you have a revenue share program in place. One more note that's very important. If you are terminated from Reel for any reason, you lose your revenue share program. And people have been terminated. It's often the most common way that people have been terminated, and it hasn't happened many times, but it has happened, is from violating Reel's recruiting policies of how to attract other agents to the company. But it could be for any number of reasons. Reel can at any time revoke your revenue share program. So I hope you understand that. It's very uncommon, but it's important to acknowledge, if you're banking on a big potential retirement income, you need to be aware of the risks associated. One of the most amazing parts of the Reel's revenue share program is that it's willable to the next generation. It means you can designate a beneficiary to receive all of the earnings from your revenue share program in perpetuity. And you can designate a person. You have to look at your state laws to figure out exactly who you can designate. If you have any questions, let me know. I can help guide you in that direction. You can also designate a trust. So it's pretty flexible. But there's a caveat to it. You have to be with the company for 5 years before you designate that full 100% to the beneficiary. And it's a gradient. So year 1, you're 20%. If you've been with the company for 1 year, 20% of your earnings will go to your beneficiary. Year 2, 40%. Year 3, 60%. Year 4, 80%. And after 5 years with the company, your beneficiary will get the full 100% of your earnings from the revenue share program. Let's say you join the company, you bring a network with you, and all of a sudden within 3 months, you're earning $10,000 a month in revenue share, and you have a designated beneficiary, but tragedy happens and you pass away 8 months into your tenure here at Reel. Your beneficiary does not get any of those earnings. Because you weren't with Reel for an entire year before you passed. So that's important to be aware of. And similarly, like after year 1, 20% of those earnings are unlocked. After you've been with the company 2 years, 40% are unlocked for the beneficiary, so on and so forth, all the way to 5 years at 100%. So I hope you understand all the ins and outs of the willable aspect of the revenue share program. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Thanks for your patience. Nice work. And as always, reach out if you have any questions. There's a couple frequently asked questions I'll get, so I'll cover those real quick. So let's say, do I lose revenue if an agent in my network leaves the company, right? One, you'll obviously lose their earnings, but if they've referred other people in, so say you brought Sally and Sally brought Brian. Let's say Sally leaves the company. You're obviously going to lose the earnings from Sally. You won't lose the earnings from Brian. Reel basically takes Sally's stake, whatever. Basically, Reel maintains the network, and if somebody leaves, it just creates a hole in the network, but you don't lose the network. Does that make sense? It's pretty simple. It's like somebody leaves, no big deal. You lose their earnings, but your whole network and everybody that they brought in is still intact, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, another question. Does the revenue share earnings come out of my pocket or does it come out of Reel's? And again, I hope you understand that it comes out of Reel's percentage. You earn your 85% commission, pre-cap, and that 15% that goes to Reel goes to the revenue share for all the people that brought you into the company. Hope that makes sense. Okay, now let's one more question. Are referral only agents eligible to participate in the revenue share program? And the answer is yes. They're the exact same. You still have to qualify as a producing agent. So if you're earning 25% on all your referrals, instead of, you basically still have to earn that $3,000 in GCI to yourself that then ultimately pays Reel that $450 of commission every 6 months. So that's the most important thing. Regardless of how you're earning it, whether it's actively producing or being a referral agent, you just have to make sure that Reel is getting their $450 every 6 months, and then you're good to go. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure you like and subscribe. Pass it on to a friend if you found this helpful. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to chat with you, love to help you understand all the ins and outs of all the facets, all the programs in Reel and all the other brokerages. And looking forward to seeing the next video. Take care.